Good afternoon. My name is Ben Weisenberger. I'm an application engineer at Ally PLM Solutions. I want to welcome you to the Ally PLM Lunch Byte series. These sessions are designed to briefly explore capabilities within Solid Edge that you may not be aware of. We hold these sessions every other Thursday at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. Today's topic is tips and tricks inside Solid Edge. If you have any questions during today's session, please write them down and send us an email. Some of the topics I'll talk about today are little-known Solid Edge shortcuts. Also, we'll highlight some underutilized Solid Edge functionality and commands. Along the way, we'll also talk about some best practices for specific commands. First, we'll talk about some of the keyboard shortcuts to change the model view. Top view is Control-T. Same with bottom, left, right, and front. They're all the first letter of the word, so Control-B is bottom, Control-L is left, Control-R and F are right and front. The back view, though, is a little different. The back view is Control-K. For isometric view is Control-I, dimetric is Control-J, and trimetric is Control-M. And with all these commands, whenever you use them, they will also fit the model onto the screen. So if you ever lose your model out in space somewhere, you can always bring it back by using one of these commands, and it'll fit it for you. Some screen manipulation shortcuts. We have Fit Area, which you hold the Alt key and press the right mouse button. We have Zoom Area, Alt, and then you hold and drag a square over the area that you want to zoom. Zoom in, you hold Control, and you can either use the up or left arrow to zoom in. Zoom out is Control and down or right arrow. And then you can zoom in slowly if you hold the Alt key and use the scroll wheel, and that'll zoom in for you. Another model view tip is how to change the perspective on the model. You can do this quickly by holding down Control and Shift and then using the scroll wheel, and this will add perspective to it. And if you're under the View tab, you can see the perspective button will turn on when you start adding perspective, and I'll show you this in a minute in Solid Edge. One of my favorite tips is changing the display of the Pathfinder. To do this, you can hold Control and double-click the top of the Pathfinder, and this will change the Pathfinder from being transparent or not transparent. Also, if you double-click at the top of the Pathfinder, it'll dock it on the left. If you double-click it again, it'll dock it on the right side of the screen. And if you double-click it one more time, it'll undock it. So if we go to Solid Edge, I can show you this. First, I'll show you those model views. So if we do Control-T, we can get the top view. It fits it for us. B does back, or bottom, excuse me. L is left view. R is right view. And we've got F for front and K for back. Then we also have our isometric, dimetric, and trimetric. So those are all the keyboard shortcuts for that. We can also show you the perspective. So if we hold Control-Shift and then just start moving my scroll wheel, it slowly adds perspective for us. You can see here our perspective came on. So we scroll back down all the way, it'll turn back off. So let's say you scroll halfway, and then you want to turn perspective off. If you turn it back on, it'll go right to where you left it. So you can add as much perspective as you want. That's a quick way to do it. With the Pathfinder, we can make this transparent or not. If we hold Control, double-click on this, and now it's no longer transparent. We hold Control, double-click it again, and it goes right back to it. If we double-click it, it docks it on the right. Double-click it again, undocks it, and we double-click one more time. We're back here, docked on the left. Another tip, if you ever lose your parts library like I have here, there's a couple ways to bring it back. You can either open up one of these and use the drop-down menu here to select it, or under the View tab, you can go over here to Show and pick any of these toolbars that you might accidentally X down of. So if we bring back our parts library, you can quickly rename a part in here if you need to by clicking on it and pressing F2. And that'll let you type down so you can quickly rename a part that way. A couple quick steering wheel tips. If we hold Shift and click the primary axis, it lets us rotate and put an input of degrees that we want. If we hold shift and click the secondary, it'll let us do it the other way with the secondary axis. If we hold shift and click the plane in here, it switches the primary and secondary axis. So you can see they switch position. Also, if you hold control and click the plane, in an assembly, it'll let you move that part, freely move it around. If you're in a part, you can select all of it, do control and click the plane, and it'll create a part copy for you. Alright, if we go back to our PowerPoint here. When working in an assembly, you can instantly navigate to the working folder where the assembly resides by clicking in the Parts Library window, and then you type in control plus period. So you can see here in my pictures are in some random folder, and instead of clicking in the drop down and browsing to the folder we're working in, you can just click down here anywhere, type in control period, and it automatically browses you to the working folder. So that's a helpful tip that helps speed up working with assemblies. You can change the settings for the preview of a part or assembly. So if you click in the Parts Library area and go to preview, it'll open up this options window, and you can either have the parts and assemblies preview as a bitmap or an interactive. And with the interactive, you can manipulate the view using some keyboard shortcuts I'll show you in a second. So with that preview, you can also then position your part or subassembly in an orientation that's close to how you want to use it in the assembly. So this makes it easier to constrain parts when you already have them manipulated in the orientation that you want before you bring them in. You can select a part already in the assembly from the Pathfinder and drag it into the graphics window for faster replication. Another way to do this is to graphically select a part and hit Control-C to copy it, and then Control-V to paste it. And when you paste it, it'll paste it wherever you have your cursor. When you drag in a part from either the Pathfinder or the Parts Library, if you hold down Control and drag it in, Solid Edge will ground the part and align it to the assembly origin. And this is great for rebuilding divided parts. If you hold down Shift and drag in a component, it'll place it with no constraints at your cursor location. And I'll show you all this in a minute. Another tip is you can get the statistics of an assembly, such as number of parts or how big the file is, by using assembly statistics under the Inspect tab. So if we go back to Solid Edge, let me open up another assembly here. So first thing I want to do is show you the assembly statistics. It's up here under the Inspect tab. Just click it and it shows you all your parts, unique number of parts, any subassemblies, and your file size. This is helpful if you want to know how many parts are in your assembly. Next, I'll show you how to browse to the working folder. So we go over here. This isn't the folder where all these parts are from. So if we just hold Control and hit period, it takes it right to the working folder, which is quick and easy instead of browsing all the way to this folder. Down here with our preview, we can manipulate it using the scroll wheel. If you hold it down, you can rotate around. But some keyboard shortcuts, if you hold Control over it, it brings up this menu. And it shows you that if you hold Shift and the right mouse button, you can rotate it. Control and right mouse button to zoom, or Control Shift lets you pan. So we can pan this around, zoom in and out, and get this in the orientation that we want. Also, for those of you that use a 3D mouse, you can hold your mouse down here and use your 3D mouse to rotate this around as well. And so then whatever orientation you have this, when you drag this out, it'll be placed in that orientation. So if we drag this out now, it'll be placed in the same way. Alright, so let's say we need more screws out here. A quick way to do that instead of going to the parts library every time is we can come back up here to the Pathfinder and just click and drag more out, and it will create new bolts for us down here in the Pathfinder, and you can do that over and over again. You can also click on one of the bolts, hit Control C to copy, and then Control V, and wherever your mouse is, it'll paste a copy for you. So let's say we place a part and we hold down the Control key. What this does, this will ground it and place it at the origin for us. So you can see it placed one of our parts here in the middle because this is the origin. If we click on it, you can see now it created the grounded relationship down here. Also, if we hold Shift and drag in a part, it'll place it at our mouse without any constraints, and it doesn't start the assemble for us. Normally when you drag in a part, it'll start the assemble command, but this places it with no constraints. One other tip that I like a lot is the assemble. When you go into assemble here and you want to place multiple screws over and over again, normally you have to do a mate and axial line to place it, which is also an insert that does the same thing. But with flash fit, what you can do is click the bottom edge of the screw and then click the edge of the hole that you want to place it in. So if we click it on this edge here, it'll place it. And then what this does, if we go to our bolt, you can see that we have our mate relationship and we also have our axial line with the rotation locked. So this fully constrains that bolt for us, which is 2 clicks, which is really quick. Another thing that's new in ST3 and ST4 is the radial menu. So if you right click and hold, it pops up with our radial menu. This is 16 of your favorite commands. You can customize this any way you want. I'll show you how you can do that. We can come up here and say more commands, and we can come into our radial menu and say use custom, and now we can from over here we can drag and drop any command that we want and place it into any part of our radial menu. Also, you can customize this for any environment that you want. So you can go into the draft and customize the commands any way you want, or part files or assembly, and it's fully customizable. Also, with the radial menu, you have gestures. So if you right-click and move your mouse in a direction, it'll choose that command. So since I went up to the left, that's where my select command is. If I did that gesture, it picks that command for us. Similarly, if I go up, it'll do my zoom area command, which is up here. So it picks whatever is in the inner circle of your radial menu. Also up here with this, under more commands, we can also customize some keyboard shortcuts. So if you like using your keyboard a lot, this is where you can come in and program your own shortcuts. You can also customize the quick access toolbar up here at the top and place some of your favorite commands up there. And where this comes in handy, if you put like your select tool up here and assemble command if you're in assembly, if you decide that you want a greater viewing area, you can minimize your ribbon bar here, and then with your quick access toolbar you can have your favorite commands up here, so you don't even need to go to the ribbon bar. And to bring your ribbon bar back, you can just double click it again. That's how you can minimize it or bring it back, or you can do it from the drop down menu here and minimize the ribbon. If we open up another assembly here, to create display configurations or to simplify your assembly, there's a handy tool called the small part selector here. So if we select that, what this does is if we start scrolling up, it'll pick parts based on their percent or their size. And so when you start going up higher and higher, to start picking bigger and bigger parts. And then what you can do is when you get the if you have a large assembly with a lot of bolts or other small parts, you can increase this and select those parts, and then you can right click and hide them. And then what you can do is go ahead and save this as a display configuration. So this can help speed up display performance. And you can also save this down as a simplified assembly. With the smart dimension, what we can do, let's say we want to add a dimension here. Maybe we wanted an angle instead of a length. Well, with Smart Dimension, you can hit Shift A and it switches between angle or length. And this works in all environments, so you can do this in a draft environment as well. You can also do it in a part. So that's a quick way to change between length and angle. It's just Shift A. If we go in here and start Sketch, we can go up here and use our IntelliSketch options. And with this, we can have it automatically create dimensions for new geometry. So we also have a couple of options under that. You can either do it when you draw geometry. So I'll show you that. If we have that selected and we just come in here and draw, let's say, a rectangle, it'll automatically dimension that for us as we go. So that can be handy because then you don't have to go back in and add dimensions. But if you only want it to show in dimensions that you keyed in, then you can come select that. And so if we start drawing a line, let's say we make this 15 and place that, it'll add our dimension for us. But if we just start drawing lines, it won't add dimensions then, since we didn't key in any values. So that might be a better option for some of you if you don't want it placing a dimension on every single line you draw, and just ones that you know the dimension for. Also, while using the line command, you can start drawing a line, and then if you press the A key, it'll switch it to an arc. So then you can start drawing an arc. After you place one arc, it'll go back to the line command. You can press A again to go into another arc if you want. Also, if you're in the arc, you can press L and it'll take you back to a line. So that's a quick way to switch back and forth between lines and arcs. So let me close out of this. We'll go into a draft real quick. I'll show you a couple options in there. So we have a draft file here, and let's say we start adding dimensions using the distance between. And let's say we want to go from this bottom edge to the center of this bolt. Place that. Let's say we want the outer diameter. And then let's say we stop, we go in, do some other dimensions somewhere else, and we come back and we want to add more stacked dimensions to this. Well, to get back into it, you hit distance between again, and all you have to do is click on one of the stacked dimensions and then click at the next point that you want to place your dimension, and it'll continue to stack your dimensions for you. Another option over here, when you go to open, if you want to see the path to get to this folder, you can type in period in the file name and hit enter, and it brings up the file path to this folder. So then if you want to save that out or send it to someone, let them know what folder you're working in or what path they need to follow to get to that folder. It's a quick way to do it. Also, if you type 2 periods and hit enter, it'll bring you up a folder. So then we can do it again, and it'll bring it up another folder and over again and again, and it'll bring you up to the up a folder every time you use 2 periods. Alright, one other tip with the callout command. Let's say we place a callout, and we want to go back in and move it because let's say we want to put another view here and this is going to be in the way. Well, if you hold the Alt key and click anywhere on the leader, it'll now place new vertices for you, and then you can go in and grab those vertices and drag it around, so you can move the leader if you need to move it around something. So that's a quick way to add more vertices to it. Alright, replays of our lunch bites can be seen on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/allyplm. This one I'll try to get up at the end of the day because I know I went kind of fast and it's hard to remember all those tips, so you can go back and watch and use those tips and help speed up your work. Thanks for your attention. I really appreciate it. I hope you found this session informative. Please email us any questions you may have or any ideas for future Lunchbyte topics. Those are always helpful. We're always looking for new ideas. Our next session will be in 2 weeks on September 15th, and we'll cover what's new in ST4. Once again, I appreciate your time. Thanks, and have a great day.